Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining this quick chat with me. Happy New Year to all of you guys. I'm sure a lot of you guys are so excited about the new year, new energy, and what's coming uh, for us, right? And then in terms of your manifestation, the things you want to break through. As usual, today I'm having my good friend Gahl joining us all the way from home in Israel. And I know a lot of you guys are also following him and you love him and you want to hear his thoughts about the energy of 2026. So welcome, Gahl. Good to see you.
Oh, great to be here and there at the same time.
Yeah, always have to manage the time gap, right? Yeah. So before we start the topic, I just want to show everybody this is Gao's new astrology book, Metamorphosis in Motion. When did this book come out, Gao?
I
La-
think I brought it, I think in October already.
Already?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's been 2 months. Yeah, I'm sure some of you guys have already got this book. I have already read this book twice,
Oh, thank you.
corner to corner, back and forth. And the first astrology book that I bought by Gao was back in 2021, and I think that one was called From Out of the Darkness Light or
Hmm.
something like that. Yeah, I think that was pretty much we're talking about the COVID and things like that. And since then, I've been buying your astrology book every year. And I have to say that even as an astrologer myself, I learned so much from your books, and not just because it's an astrology book, but also I learned a lot of the history and the events and happen and how to look at the astrology from a historical perspective to deepen our understanding. So this is also my advice for a lot of my followers. If you love astrology, you got to look at history. You got to study history. And I believe that's also something you talked about in a podcast thing with someone. And you emphasize a lot on history, right?
Yeah, because think about astrology basically is trying to trace the patterns that have happened in the past. And we have to understand what stories happened when
Mm.
similar cycles were going on in order to understand where we are now and maybe deduct what we have to be careful of, what we could actually expect, but also what can we create?
Mm.
Because astrology, a lot of time people think astrology is about the future, and it is in many ways because astrology is ruled by Aquarius, and
Mm.
Aquarius is the sign of the future. But it's also talking about what happened in the past and
Mm.
how we can create our own future. So I think that the reason why astrology is ruled by Aquarius and Aquarius is the future is also because we can determine the future, that it's not yet written in many ways. And now with science telling us that there is no time,
Mm.
that basically the past never happened or will happen and the future already did happen,
Mm.
it makes much more sense why astrology is a circular thing and
Yeah,
why we
yeah.
have to understand the past in order to really determine what we want of the future.
Interesting, yeah. And I think this is something very important for our clients, right? I mean, a lot of people believe that everything is just predestined, and sometimes they even give up. And I've, experienced clients would say, well, that's if that's going to happen, there's nothing, I can do anyway. And I said, well, that's very wrong about that because, I always believe that there is a golden ratio in what the sky is giving to us and what we are actually creating, right? And I think that's quite important when we are reading, any astrology book specifically. Anything to do with predicting the future, what the so-called next year, what's the energy, right? Always bear that in mind, right? I think that's quite important. By the way, Gao, I want to say a big thank you to you for inviting me to contribute a small part of this book. I really enjoyed writing that part because, I mean, I think a lot of our followers know that, I mean, Gao, you're like a god, to me.
No,
And
heaven forbid, very far.
no, I'm kidding. Yeah, but I have a lot of respect to your knowledge, your wisdom, and the things that you have shared with all of us so far. And to be able to actually write something for your astrology book annually is a huge honor for me, and I thank you for that. And so, for all of you guys, if you buy Gao's book and if you're interested, the chapter that is for Chinese astrology, the year of the fire horse, a part of them are contributed by me. So if you're interested, definitely check it out. Right? I think we can buy this on Amazon. Anywhere else, Gao?
Mhm. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's Amazon everywhere in Kobo. I
Yeah.
think it's also on Google Play. And yes, I mean, your contribution was very important. I don't know much about the
Mm,
Chinese astrology,
mm,
besides that I'm the monkey.
mm,
And I always like that fact.
mm.
And besides that, I never dived as deep into it. So
Uh,
definitely it really helps. And it allowed me to be able to put the fire horse on on the cover, knowing
yeah.
that there will be some attribution, especially if it comes from the origin
Mm,
of where it's all about. I don't
yeah.
have to
Yeah.
tell you guys, you know very well that a lot of the people from Feng Shui, a lot of people from Chinese astrology are actually moved into Hong Kong
Yeah.
after the revolution to keep
Correct.
going with
Mm,
their studies of this very ancient art.
mm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Yeah. It's great to know that also a lot of the Westerners are interested in, studying or at least, what the I Ching is about. Because recently I've been talking about the year of the fire horse with a few US TV channels. And to me, it's just amazing to know that actually people are interested,
Mhm.
and they are very open towards the so-called the Oriental wisdom, right?
Yeah, and
So,
of course,
um,
because there is so many
mm,
people that on February 17, which happens to also be an eclipse,
mm,
are going to be projecting into the astral plane, into the world, this
yeah,
fiery horse. It's really important for us to know it and also
yeah,
to use it as a point to help us manifest things. So it's
yeah,
literally a big tsunami of
mm,
people that are connected to, okay, something
mm,
new is happening. The same
uh,
way
uh,
that now in Hong Kong, I'm sure there was a lot of celebration for 2026, which is a calendar that Julius Caesar decided.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
so
yeah,
it's basically fair that we should also celebrate the Chinese New Year, which also
yeah,
totally makes sense to start
yeah,
something on the new moon in Aquarius,
yeah,
which we said Aquarius is community, Aquarius is people, Aquarius is the future, and new moon, the new moon
mm,
that is the central point between the
mm,
winter solstice and the
mm,
spring equinox. It's
mm,
kind of a corner in the zodiac, and it
yeah,
totally makes sense to start something. It's not arbitrary, you know.
mm,
So
yeah,
it's really important that we start celebrating more and more holidays that belong to other people, because to be honest, I might have been a Chinese even more times that somebody in China is, you know. And
yeah,
so in past lifetimes, so that means
mm,
basically that we really have to, that's why you have a map of Greece over there, and all of the and centaurs and all of
yeah,
these,
yeah.
because you probably have been in ancient Greece maybe more time than the people that are now born in Greece. That's something that
It's
is
interesting.
really
Yeah,
important for people to remember.
I actually felt that when I was traveling Greece in the past, because when I was talking about mythology, right, and the stories and things like that, I realized a lot of modern day Greek people, especially young people, they don't even know. Like,
Hmm.
if I talk about, the king of Athens, Theseus, and the stories, and they'll be like, yeah, roughly, when I was in the maybe elementary school, maybe we learn a little bit. I'm like, yeah, but that's your culture.
Yeah, but I've been to Greece also, and it happened to me the same thing, especially
Uh,
when I went to Delphi to
uh,
visit Apollo, of
yeah,
course.
yeah,
I've noticed that for them, no, our tradition is Christianity.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
said, well, actually, I'm from Israel. I'm
mm,
actually now about 30 kilometers from where Jesus was born,
uh,
about 150 kilometers where he was sacrificed.
uh,
So I have a little bit more to say about that tradition. Your
mm,
tradition is historically, if you look at all these places, their names,
yeah,
their everything there is related to that
yeah,
period of
yeah.
time.
100%. Sometimes when I go to those ancient ruins, and I would, either ask the tour guide or whatever, yeah, and I realize a lot of the times the reason why those temples were destroyed was because of religious wars.
Hmm.
And a lot of the changes. And I was just thinking that, wow, this is such a shame that a lot of things stopped back then, and now, thousands of years later, we're trying to pick it up again and trying to find the wisdom and the lessons from those stories. Yeah, but so when I was reading your book, and also I was, in your, I was not really in your workshop because of time difference. Oh, it was, for God's sake, it was like 3 a.m. for me, so I had to listen to the recording. But what I really liked about that was that you talked about the 5 or 4 different planets being out of bounds right now, January the first,
Yeah.
and that's how we enter the new year. Because I know that astrologers don't talk about that a lot. Can you please share with us some of your thoughts about that and what it means to all of us?
You know, there is The same way that sometimes you do something crazy,
Mm.
that you do something that nobody expected you to do, and it's kind of liberating in a sense. It's scary, but also it's unpredictable, and you don't know
Mm.
what the reaction will be because you're not used to these kind of things, so you don't know
Mm.
what the outcome will be. That's an out of bound planet. Basically,
Mm.
the sun rises to a certain degree, 23 degrees delineation, and then if any planet goes beyond that, which is usually not the case, because think about the sun, it's in the center of the solar system, it controls in a sense like a Leo all of the
Mm.
rest of the planets,
Yeah.
and when a planet goes beyond the sun, it's almost like going beyond the authority of the solar system, almost like it's projected into the unknown. It's really rare when it happens. And this year we're going to have Mercury, the moon, we have Venus, we have Mars, all of them are out of bound, which means that each one of them react in a way that's unpredictable. That means that you think it's going to be like that, but it's not. It's not Mercury retrograde. It's not Mars retrograde, because it's not a reversed.
Mm.
It's not the let's say the inflected vision of it. It's basically something completely different, unpredictable, and that's why I think when we have so many planets starting the year, according to the law of beginning, how something starts is how it's unfolding. That's the basis of astrology. Your chart
Mm.
when you took the first breath. So the first breath of this year is quite a lot of out of bound, which is not terrible. I think it's because we're in such a messy situation around the world because of 2025 and the rest. I don't know if out of bound is a bad thing.
Okay.
Maybe we need
Mm.
to look
Mm.
at things differently. Maybe we need to be maybe less pessimistic if you're pessimistic, maybe less optimistic if you're optimistic. It kind of shakes everything and reshuffles everything. But things are starting to settle down around January 18. It's going to
Mm.
be out of bounds. And also, it's the new moon. But even before that, in January 7 to 9, we have this beautiful triangle of triangular love. We have
Mm.
Venus, Mars exalted, and the sun all coming together in the middle of Capricorn. So it's
Mm.
really good for anybody who's working on their new resolution for
Yeah.
long term
Mm.
projects, for love, for
Mm.
energy, for sports, for
Mm.
physical activity in your new resolution. It's a great push forward around that time. So by middle of January, we're starting to more settle down.
So we do have still have a little bit time, right? I mean, until 18. So the new moon in Capricorn, we can still make a lot of wishes, like what you said, maybe around the Venus Mars conjunction time.
Hmm.
And then we have the new moon Capricorn. When you look at new moon each month, because I every month I do my own new moon journal. I write down my wishes and I do my prayers. And usually when I'm looking at new moon, not only, of course, we have to look at where the new moon is on our personal chart, which house this new moon is occurring, but also I tend to look at the ruler of that moon. Where is that also in the on our chart, right? And so now we're talking about Saturn because new moon in Capricorn, right? So the ruler is Saturn, and Saturn has just right now, I mean, and for the next 2 years, 3 years and a half, when I see this in Aries, um, honestly, I'm not too much looking forward to that because I'm a Cancer moon and Capricorn moon. Sorry, Cancer sun, Capricorn moon. So it's gonna square my sun, square my moon. Not something that I'm looking forward to. What kind of
Yeah,
advice do you have for the Saturn transit
but
for us?
squares are not
Mm,
as scary as they seem. Basically,
mm,
squares is a push.
mm, mm.
So if you want to achieve anything, you need to get up and move.
Yeah.
Square is almost like an alarm clock in a way. You
Mm,
can continue sleeping, which is fun, but if you sleep forever, you're going to basically disintegrate, and
mm, mm.
entropy will take over you, and you'll become gray goo.
Yeah,
So the
yeah,
whole square thing is basically get up, move.
yeah.
It's something that forces you to reconsider your situation. In your case, it will be reconsider maybe where you live,
Mm.
issues that might be with father and mother, things like that,
Yeah.
ancestral karma.
Yeah.
But for all of us, this Saturn moving into Aries can be a little bit intense just because Saturn is fallen in
Mm.
Aries.
Yeah.
So when a planet is not happy and when it's fallen, people say, "Oh well, it's great. The Lord Karma is weak." No, he's
Mm,
pissy and he's
mm,
irritable. It's
mm,
almost
mm.
like you already have a crazy uncle and he's not that nice. Now he's, I don't know, drank too much yesterday night, and now he's really impatient with you.
Uh, uh,
So
yeah.
he's not as strong. He's not going to beat you up, but he's going to be very annoyed. So that's why I'm saying that because Saturn is moving into Aries, Aries is a sign of leaders, we're going to see a
Mm,
lot of changes among
mm,
leaderships, leaders in general,
mm,
and even how you lead yourself. But it is going to be important to look in your charts where you guys have Aries, what
Mm,
house is ruled by Aries, especially the beginning of Aries, because that's the most sensitive spot, the
yeah,
0 degree Aries, 1 degree Aries. And
yeah,
already we're going to have Neptune in January 26th moving into Aries, that same
yeah.
degree. And then on Valentine's, literally going on a date, it will be
Mm,
Saturn and Neptune coming together on the 1st degree of Aries. That's why this year is a reset of a
yeah.
lot of things for us.
100%. Yeah, I think even from the perspective of Chinese astrology, this year we're having the fire horse year, and this is only happening once every 60 years. And actually, in the Chinese astrology, we do believe that when fire and horse come together, it can be a little bit like a karmic lesson feeling in there. The last time this happened was 1966, and that was actually the starting point of the Cultural Revolution in mainland China, right? So that was well, if you know what for our audience, if you know what Cultural Revolution was, it was a very chaotic, a very dramatic period of time in modern Chinese history. And even 6 years before that, 1906, and that's when the Qing government, signed a lot of unequal treaties with the Western powers. So, and it was a lot of the ending of the Qing dynasty was also around that period of time, and so the fire horse is a little bit like saying, at least from my perspective, is saying that okay, we can ride on that horse to move forward, but we also have to be sure that we're really holding on to that rein, because horses can be dangerous too, especially when we say the fire horse. But the fire is already the problem about horse already carries fire energy. Fire, though the sun belongs to the element of fire, now you give more fire from the heaven, so it's double fire there. And so I think even in your book, there's a small part of it was I was saying, when two horses come together, it doubles, so it becomes four horses. So now you
Mm-hmm.
gotta drive four horses on your chariot, right? So how much control do you want to have on it, and how do you want to maintain your speed, and how you want to pace? And I think this requires a lot of the energy to work with Saturn, like what you said.
Of
Yeah,
course. And
yeah.
also, Saturn rules fear. And one of the things, as I was a cowboy for a year and a half, 2 years, I
Huh?
actually fought from in the Golan Heights,
Oh,
right on
wow.
the border with Syria.
Okay.
And one of the
Wow.
when we had an American guy there, and he taught us how to ride horses, and he told
Mm.
us first of all, ride without a saddle. First,
Uh,
if you ride without a saddle, then I put a saddle on, it will be super easy. And
mm,
he says, the only thing is, don't be afraid. The
mm,
minute the horse feels fear,
mm.
it acts out. The reason why is because horses are um, herd.
Mm.
So they work, if somebody is feeling fear, it
Yeah.
transmits immediately to everybody because there's probably a lion or a predator there. So they all as a unit run away
By the
really
way,
fast.
yeah. Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
it's not like you're afraid. So, no, if he feels that you're afraid, he thinks that you know why, because he's definitely
Mm.
not thinking you're afraid of me. How could
Ah,
you be afraid of me? I'm prey.
yeah.
Therefore, if you mount him and he's
Mm.
afraid because you're afraid, he
Yeah.
just runs really, really fast and you can't control him because he's running for his life, not from you,
Yeah,
obviously,
yeah.
but from
Yeah.
whatever is chasing you that you decided to be afraid of. So
Wow.
I think the most important thing is like the message of the from the tarot card of the Fool, no fear.
No fear.
So what you
Absolutely,
have to
yeah.
remember is that if there's certain things you want to start accomplishing from February 17 onward,
Mm.
no fear. If you're not
Interesting.
afraid,
Mm.
it's going to be fine. The horse is not going to run away. If you're
Yeah, yeah.
afraid, and a fire horse, it's going to be double as much.
I think that's really something important to me as well. I think because being born in the year of rat, and horse is actually the opposition on the chart. It's a
Mhm.
little bit like Saturn, Aries, and I'm a Libra. It's a bit like that. Yeah, I was really dreading, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, 2 years ago I was thinking, oh my God, the year of snake, because both snake and a horse, these two zodiac signs are fire animals in the I Ching studies, and so the fire energy just doesn't work with me very very well in I Ching, and so there's a lot of changes that I have to adapt, and I believe that for a lot of our clients, or some of them are asking me about the fire horse, is it good for them or not? But I do believe that when we connect this with Western astrology, the Saturn Neptune in Aries, definitely a lot of adjustment must be made. Yeah,
It is also a very fiery year. We have Neptune once in 165 years in fire, Saturn once in 30 years in fire.
yeah,
Jupiter is moving in the middle of the year into Leo, which is fire. There's definitely a lot of fire activity.
yeah, yeah. So when it comes to Jupiter, right? Because I know that everybody loves Jupiter. It's a bit like give you a basket, you can go to the supermarket and everything is free, right? Just put things in. Um, of course, for Leo, it's gonna be good, in the second half of the year. What would be your advice or suggestion for this Jupiter in Leo energy? And how can we use it to create more advantages for all of us?
I mean, Jupiter is going to be in Cancer first, the
Mm,
first part of the year. It's really divided between water and fire,
mm,
between the mother and the father. So you have to be in the first part of the year much more watery or
mm,
more emotional, okay, to speak with I feel, to focus on your home, improving your office, improving your home, maybe going a little bit more inward. And
mm.
then in the second part of the year, from July onward, to be more like a Leo. The more you're
Yeah.
like a Leo, the more Jupiter can identify you as a Leo and give you the abundance. Because what we're basically saying is, what is Jupiter? Jupiter just enhances what? The
Mm,
frequency of yellow, the frequency of gold, the frequency of Leo. It's not only for Leos, it's just that Leos carry that.
mm, mm,
But even if you don't have a Leo rising or a Leo moon or anything in Leo, you can be a Leo because you have a
mm.
house that is ruled by Leo. And you can be more about energy, more about sports, more about hobbies, maybe reconnect to children, your inner child, more connection to happiness, maybe study a little bit about things like positive psychology,
Mm,
not to go
mm.
to therapist only to overcome negativity, but to try to enhance positivity. Those things could really work because the more you are a Leo, the more you're playful, the more you're even around kids, the better it is.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. Um, Leo actually, so my I'm a Virgo rising, yeah. So Leo transiting sorry, Jupiter transit Leo is gonna be my 12th house, yeah. So what's your interpretation about that, like Jupiter in the 12th house?
Well, it's about
Mm.
exposing secrets, overcoming hidden things, bringing
Uh,
up memories from past lifetime, because the 12th house has to do with everything that is unseen. What
mm,
is
mm,
unseen? Your subconscious,
mm.
your patterns sometimes. It does talk about hidden enemies. It
Yeah,
does
yeah.
also talk about hidden gifts
Mm,
or hidden skills that you developed in past lifetimes, people that you're not even aware that you might be connected to from past lives. So a lot of time it indicates a connection to people you haven't seen, feeling that you connect to people as if you know them before,
mm,
going to
mm.
places that feel familiar, and a
Yeah,
lot of healing. This is one of the best houses for therapy, basically. So becoming more a therapist, your intuition can grow much higher. Those are
yeah,
usually
yeah.
the things that are associated with the 12th house.
Thank you. Interesting. Yeah, 'cause a lot of times, yeah, I mean, these days I don't know why I'm seeing a lot of clients being interested in the 12th house and what they mean and how they can, take advantage of that house better. Um, I mean, in my personal experience, I find a lot of people having kind of challenges in their emotional life when they have their moon in the 12th house. It's a little bit like they don't know how to access their moon energy.
Yeah, and sometimes it
Mm,
means the mother might have been a daughter in a
mm,
past lifetime.
yeah,
It sometimes means that they died giving birth, and that's why there's
uh,
some issue with the womb or with the moon
with the
or
moon, yeah,
ancestral karma, intergenerational transfer a lot of time.
yeah,
But the
yeah,
12th house is definitely misunderstood the same way that Pisces is
mm,
misunderstood
yeah,
because it's
yeah,
the same archetype in a sense.
yeah, yeah, 100%, yeah. So, as a general advice, what would you, share with us about, the general things that we can look forward to in 2026? I mean, of course, we talked about Saturn, we talked about, Jupiter, but just as something that is at a very high level. Yeah.
I mean, I think the most important thing is that call to action, what I call, which is happening middle of February, but it carries up the whole year. It's when Saturn and Neptune come together once in thousands of years in the first degree of Aries. So every sign has it someplace else. For
Mm,
Aries, it's about everything: their body, their path, their direction, their personality. For Taurus, it's funny enough the 12th house, the letting go, the connecting to the subconscious, connecting to past lifetime. For Gemini, it's all about communication, friends. They might hear this call to action around technology, around
mm,
computers, which is interesting because also Uranus is moving into Gemini, which
yeah.
is the same thing. And for Cancer, of course, it's all about career. So even though they want to be at home, Cancer and Capricorn are kind of reversing where they need to focus on and where their call to action is going to be.
Yeah.
And that means basically that for Cancer, it's all about a call to action that has to do with leadership in career, taking their career to the next level, professionalism. For Leo, it's about travel, truth, philosophy, learning, teaching, traveling much more. For Virgos, it's about working with other people's money, other people's talents, for sexuality, intimacy, also dealing with death, also dealing with the shaman inside of them. For Libra, of course, because it's the opposite sign, it has to do a lot with relationship, partnership,
Mm.
call to action also in dealing with enemies or dealing with their art or design. For Virgos, it's going to be, for Scorpio, it's going to be about health,
Health. Yeah.
diet,
Mm. Yeah.
work,
Yeah.
routine. For Sagittarius, it's going to be about love, which is
Mm.
great for Sagittarius, or children.
Yeah.
And for Capricorn, of course, it's home and
Home.
family
Yeah.
because they're
Mm.
reversed from Cancer. And then for Aquarius, it's about business, communication, writing,
Uh-huh.
networking. And for Pisces, it's about money, talents, self
Mm.
worth,
Mm.
dealing with their skills and their values.
Mm. Wow, now we got all the 12 signs. So everybody, you need to listen to this again, if you didn't catch your own zodiac sign. It's kind of interesting because, when I was listening to that, I was thinking, wow, so Libra is really dealing with something that is should be their strength. Because they're dealing with,
Mhm.
Saturn and Neptune in the seventh house, but that's what they were born to do, right? Harmony, relationship, balance. And it seems like it's going to be a focus for them for the next
Yeah,
several years.
because Aries, because Saturn and Neptune are in Aries, those are basically what's going on in that respect because they're going through the same
Yeah.
specific energies.
Mm.
What's happening with Cancer and Capricorn, they're reversing.
Mm.
Then you have this really interesting thing that Virgo, that is supposed to be the Virgin, is going to be in the house of sexuality, losing their virginity in
Interesting.
a sense.
Yeah, yeah. Interesting, huh?
Connecting to their power,
Mm.
connecting to intimacy, to
Mm.
transformation, which is
Mm.
again not always the typical
Mm.
Virgo energy. And also you can look at the opposite sign, Pisces, which is not so much about the material world, but in this
Mm.
life, I mean this year, they have to be
Yeah.
focused much more on that.
Oh, now I'm sure that we all know what to focus on. Yeah, thank you so much for the advice. So finally, I just want to, I know that you do a lot of workshops, right? So as I'm a loyal subscriber to your news, and I see a lot of workshops. Tell us about your next plan, anywhere you're going to be for workshops. If we have, followers leaving or traveling in that location, maybe they can, go to your workshop.
If you're in Milan, no, Milan, I'm not doing any workshop. There's going to be a private event, but in London, I'm going to do some workshops that are also a webinar. One is
Mm.
the hero's journey. We did it in Bulgaria,
Yeah.
and it's really because of the call to action that we have. We're going to look into the hero's journey according to Joseph Campbell
Yeah.
and see how we can use the tarot because the tarot also work with the same kind of process,
Ah,
astrology.
ah,
And we're also going to do a webinar and also in person in London about meditation, different type of guided meditations.
mm.
In London, in person, I'm doing on the 24th of January also a workshop with family constellation
Oh, family
and
constellation. Oh.
astrology. That's going to
Mm.
be about love in the age of AI, which is
Okay.
going to be kind of wild. We did
Mm.
it also in Sofia.
Ah,
And another workshop on the year ahead, on the astrology of 2026, like a very deep dive
mm.
on January 23rd, which is going to be in person in London, but also
London.
as a
Okay.
webinar.
All right. Well, everybody in London, go on Gal's website. You have all the information on your website for sure. I know that you can check because usually, because I live in Hong Kong. Yeah, if I attend your workshop, usually it's online. And of course, how much do I wish that I could be there, you know, like real time. But because your time always is for the US and European,
Yeah.
students there for Asia, it's like 3 a.m. for us. So we have to listen to the recording. But if any of you guys are looking for a real good astrologer, astrology teacher who can really teach you some authentic stuff, I mean, I wouldn't recommend a lot of people, but Gao is one of the teachers that I really
Oh, thank
admire and
you.
I really respect. And please, check out his website. And again, Metamorphosis Emotion. Find this on Amazon, and I'm sure that you'll get a lot of important information from this book that will be very helpful to you guys. All right. Thank you so much, Gal, for
Thanks a
joining.
lot.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to see you. Happy New Year to you and wish you a wonderful year ahead.
Thank you.